Hello, everyone. Here we are for another episode of Love, Laughs, and Lessons. And of course, we have an amazing guest who we're really excited to introduce you to. And my co host, Denise, is going to go ahead and jump in.
Yeah. Hello again. Happy that we're all together. And today's guest is Deb Dutcher, a boomer dating coach. Yes, a boomer dating coach, because we need love too. Motivational speaker, best-selling author, and with over 20 years of experience in high-tech management and another 2 decades as a health and lifestyle coach, Deb has seamlessly combined her expertise to help the over 50 audience navigate the world of online dating. Deb is super passionate about empowering singles who may feel like it's too late to find love. And as a best-selling author of Sexy, Lean, and Strong After 50, and named a top 10 senior dating expert in 2024 by datingadvice.com, Deb's mission is clear: to help boomers find their own Mr. or Mrs. Adorable. Through her Finding Mr. Adorable journey, Deb shares practical advice on crafting a rock star dating profile, engaging with quality prospects, maintaining standards, and avoiding scammers. So today, hopefully, she'll share her nuggets, her insights on creating an exclusive, committed relationship while keeping the sex alive.
Yes, please. Yes, yes, and yes.
Yes, yes, and yes. Yes. All right.
Yes.
Welcome, Deb. So happy to have you.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
So tell us how did you get into this line of work?
You know how things just kind of evolve, and then you go, "Oh my God, this could actually be something I could earn some money at 69, right?" I was bitching on TikTok. I had never done a TikTok, and I was watching all these gals do TikToks, and I thought, I could do that. Not the dancing stuff, but the weird, funky stuff. And I went, what the hell? Nobody's talking to me. I'm stuck here in the middle of nowhere. I divorced the creep. I'm living alone. I got a dog. I got a big yard. I got nobody to talk to because it's COVID lockdown. I'm going to go talk to TikTok.
Wow.
I posted my first TikTok about dating online at 69, wearing one of my wigs, my Sex and the City Samantha wig. And I went, oh my God, dating online in a time of COVID at 69. Ah! And I got 112,000 hits.
Oh my God.
I went, what the heck? And then I just started riffing on the dates, on how many sites I was on who I was going out with, on who I was saying goodbye to, and, the weird ones and the funny ones and the ED pill, almost having a heart attack ones. And I just went through the whole thing.
Yes.
And I've got tons of followers. And then I'm a health coach, and I wrote the book, and I'm a good health coach, right?
Yeah.
And I went, oh, these people are asking me all these questions. Should I write a book? Should I, hold workshops? Should I do a course? And I went, do it all.
There you go.
Yeah.
And there you have it.
So I started writing another book, Still Dating After 70 or whatever it was going to be. And it ended up turning into coaching, and it ended up doing these online workshops and a bunch of stuff. And I went, there's so much need. There's so much fear, and there's so much loss. And it makes me so sad because so many of my clients have lost spouses after a really long time, or really long relationships, or they're going through a traumatic divorce and they can't rebound. And yet they don't want to be alone. And so they're feeling stuck. And I want to unstick them, and I want them to have fun, and I want them to have one last hot, torrid love affair, because that's what I'm having.
Or a couple of hot, torrid love affairs with maybe the same person if you want to be monogamous.
But you can have multiple if you want. I had multiple flings,
if you don't.
But I decided at 70 I'd pick one.
So talk to us about the conversation around sex in the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s. Like, is it still happening? And how is it happening?
Oh, honey bunch, it is still happening. And the main thing is communication, and planning.
So that's the only difference as when you get into that stage of life, the planning, because
Oh yeah.
basic
Do you
communication
have your
needs to
pills?
happen.
You know, are you going to try au naturel? Who has the lube? Where's the dog? Where are the kids? Is your mother taking care of for the night? Because he's taking care of his 94-year-old mom. You know, all this stuff. And you're just like, okay, it doesn't matter. We're still going to have a good time. We're going to light the candles and put on the music and, you know, get on the little cute clothes and do our thing. And we're not going to worry about the fact that we're not 19 and able to just jump into bed whenever we feel like.
So this whole nonsense, well, I say nonsense because I've always felt like it is. This idea that, you know, when you're in your 60s, 70s, there's no libido for women. They're all dried up, you know, no lubrication. They don't have the desire anymore. That's not what I'm hearing.
Well, so there are women who are dealing with that. I was one of them because in my first marriage and our last 4 years, we were both on antidepressants. I was going through menopause. Everything was kind of like broken. The children were out of control. And sex was the last thing on our minds most of the time. And so you go through the dry spell. And when you don't get active in your older age, things atrophy and they stop working the way they used to. But there's the hormone replacement, there's the vaginal creams, there's all kinds of good stuff now. There's the little tools, there's the dilators, there's things that bring you back to life. And so I went to, in my second marriage, I married him at 54, and in my early 60s, I started really sensing things just weren't working. You know, there was a comment from my husband at the time. It's like being sandpapered when I'm in there.
Oh my goodness.
And I went, oh, let me go fix this. So I went to a doctor and they said that you need this and this and this bunch of stuff I didn't really care for. It was highly medical and mare urine and all this other stuff. I found some amazing online natural homeopathic solutions. One is NEUEVE, New Eve. They make the suppositories that moisten you up, and they're not nasty, and they're not made out of icky stuff. And they do creams for the outside, so you're not all itchy and dry.
They don't taste bad?
Dilators.
And they don't taste bad.
Yeah, I taste them. And I don't necessarily recommend you leave them on. So these are supposed to be used. This is where the planning comes in. The company's really honest. They go, use the suppository a day before you expect to have relations.
Got it. Yes.
Because otherwise, yeah, they're not nasty. They're not chemical. There's like beeswax and, you know, flower stuff and plant stuff. And, you know, they're not going to kill you if you put them in your mouth, but it's not recommended.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and then different things that I need for, and lubes, they're just, I don't like the taste of them at all. So we just use them at the end when we want full activity.
So, yeah. So the nice thing is that he gets the idea that foreplay is important.
Oh, my guy he's more into foreplay than almost anything, but the end result is amazing. And he's 72. We're both, well, he'll be 72. I robbed the cradle. He's 2 months younger.
Oh.
He likes to tell everyone that. She robbed the cradle. I'm 2 months younger.
Love it. So you can, even though you might be in this, for listeners, they may be in this phase of like really feeling menopause hitting them hard, and they don't feel like they can feel libido anymore, desire anymore, and all of that. They feel like it's over for them. There's still hope. Like they should go and speak to somebody like you, or go to a primary care, or OBGYN, primary care, yeah.
Yeah. And they should also look at their physical activity level, because he and I are both healthy, active. We hike, we bicycle, we work in our yards, we walk our dogs, we go to the gym, we do yoga. Yoga is really good if you want to have good sex when you're in your old age. Start a yoga program. It will change your flexibility. It will change your stamina. It will change a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's about becoming in the best physical condition you can be, both inside and out. So probiotics, probiotics for the genitalia. You know, do the things you need to do. As a health coach, there's a ton of stuff. Take fish oil, drink a lot of water, don't eat crap. You know, it's
That's right.
Yeah, you make it sound easy.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the yoni steam?
Tell me what that is. I know I've heard the word, but I'm not remembering it.
Oh yeah. So it's like you're sitting on a steam pot and it steams the vagina.
Oh, that would probably be really good. Hot baths are helpful.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I think a yoni pot might be cool. Something I've not tried.
Yeah, I know of yoni massage. There are people who just specifically focus on, yeah.
That could be really good. So, you know, and that's the other thing about when you're building a relationship, one of the first things I do with someone, I just say to them, look, we're both older, our bodies are going through all their changes. I don't really want to get sexy with you until we've gotten comfortable with each other's nakedness and the current condition of our bodies. So now that we've progressed beyond, you know, we're up to the point where we'd like to get naked, I want to propose this. We're going to each give each other a full body massage, no happy ending. And they go, oh, that sounds interesting. And then we do it because, you know, my body is older and has flab and cellulite and a pouch belly and, you know, all that stuff. And I'm sure they're going to have issues when we get in there. And so I think, let's just get comfortable with each other's bodies first. Yes. Let's get over that nervousness. And so the gals and the guys that I coach, I teach them to do that because it's so much pressure. The first time you're going to go to bed with someone, no matter what age you are, it's so much pressure. Oh my God, are they going to like how I look and smell and feel and blah, 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 and how much light should we have on and all that stuff, you know? And so if you begin at a level where it's less threatening, a massage. Let's see if we can learn how to touch each other. Let's see if we can bring pleasure. Let's see if we can be comfortable with each other. Yeah, we're going to get turned on, but we made a pact. And then the next move is we sleep together overnight, no sex.
Oh, you're just torturing people right now.
Well, it builds up anticipation, baby.
Of course.
For both of us, because we're not instantly trying to gratify that animal urge. We're trying to be connected. And I'm telling you, doing it that way, my guy's a dragon and I'm a dragon, and we're talking dragon sex fireworks.
I don't think we have to even tell people what that means.
No. And oh, by the way, because we don't want to sully our sheets with the lube, we have dragon sheets in each house.
Oh my God.
Special sheets to cover our beds with.
I love it.
When those come out and the candles come out, we know what the other one has in mind.
We know what time it is, right?
What about like erectile dysfunction and, you know,
So the little pills work.
They work.
The other thing that works is testosterone supplements, exercise, not too much alcohol, not grass before, you know, it just depends on the person and their physiology and what works for them. That's where the communication comes in, because this is a funny story. I had one guy that was applying to be Mr. Adorable when I coined the word, and I said, I'm looking for a Mr. Adorable, no long terms, just, you know, let's have a commitment of exclusivity and monogamy for an extended period, and we'll figure out what that's going to be. Right. And so this guy applies. And he goes, so I know you're, vetting a bunch of other guys, because he was following me on TikTok and he ended up local, right? And so he's watching that I'm dating all these other people while he's trying to date me. And he goes, so I can see that you're having little flings here and there. He goes, I want to go slow. I want to get to know you, and I want to know you a year from now. And that was by phone, because he was in Alaska on a trip and I was here in California, and I'm like, holy shit, nobody said that to me ever. Not even in my first marriage. Nobody ever said they wanted to know me a year from now without sex, without anything. And I went, okay, so this guy's different. So we're together and we're dating and we're into it. And he's like, we're going slow. I go, well, what does go slow mean? Because, what does that mean to you? He goes, well, what does it mean to you? I go, okay, well, the last two relationships lasted 90 days. So I'm not having sex with you till after you pass the 90-day mark. He goes, oh, I was thinking more like 40. And then it turned out he had ED. Mm-hmm. And he could never resolve it with anything. And so it became stressful in the middle of the relationship because we could never really satisfy each other. I like reciprocity. If I'm getting a big O, you should get a big O, and I couldn't make it happen for him. And it just got rough and tough and uncomfortable. So I needed a guy who could still get it up, and my guy can still get it up.
Mm-hmm. So then in these older years, 50 plus, and because it sounds like you're saying like sexual compatibility is something that we should be talking about earlier?
Potentially.
How much earlier?
So it will depend on what you want. So the first thing I teach people, you do not get into online dating just to see if you can get a date, because that's what I did the first time. Don't do that. You can always get a date. You get into online dating knowing who you are, what you want, mm-hmm. and what you don't want. When you have decided all of that, you also have to decide, how and when do I wish to become intimate? And sometimes you're dating someone and they just really turn you on and you go, third date, let's do it, and you don't go through any of the break-in stuff that I just told you to do.
It's strictly for the sex. And
yeah, you're going because it's just that person is so delicious, you just can't wait, right? But ultimately, if you have not built the connection and the relationship, that can and usually does backfire. And it leaves you sad and broken and depressed and feeling shitty. And one guy ghosted me and one guy dated me for 90 days and then he ghosted me. And I'm like, what the blankety blank is going on here? So I rethought my whole situation and went, you can have a fling if you want one anytime you shake your little hand and you'll have some guy that's willing to perform. Why don't you go find someone for real? And that's when I started building the Finding Mr. Adorable system. And I told myself, I don't care how cute, how sexy, how great a kisser, you are not going to bed till you know more about this person. And I came up with things I wanted to know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So are there any specific sites that work better for folks within this age range? Yeah.
Yes. I like the following sites because they are geared toward older and they do some verification. You still get scammers, you still get, the want a nurse with a purse kind of stuff. But I like Our Time, eHarmony, Match, Zoosk, Silver Singles. Those are my top 5. Mm-hmm. There's a site called top10.com, and they rate different ones and they move them around. There's also others that my clients and students are trying, Bumble, Hinge, not Tinder. That has a reputation for just being for hookups. And then there's new ones all the time. So it's really a matter of getting a feel for your territory, which sites are doing the promos, and which sites are going to have the biggest potential pool.
Now, what do you mean getting a feel for your territory?
So I'm in California, Northern California. Mm-hmm. I coach people all over the country, and I just picked up a client in France. And the issue is going to be which sites are the strongest for that demographic and that geography. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because the other thing that you want to do is look at the population in your area. I'm in Northern California, outside of Sacramento. I've got a big, huge territory with possible guys. Right. I have clients in little tiny towns in Texas or Arizona or Florida or Georgia or Alberta, Canada, there's not a big dating pool, not like where I am. So you need to get really clear on which sites are pulling the most action in your territory. You can tell that from television ads and radio ads. So if Silver Singles is doing a big promotion, or Match is doing a big promotion, or Our Time, or eHarmony are doing a big promotion, go check them out. Go buy a month or two. It's more expensive, but do not buy a year on any site. Do not buy a year. I don't care how cheap it is. $19 a month of crap is $19 of crap. So don't do it. You got to be able to move around.
In a year, they may not be the site to use. They change.
They change, and they change almost quarterly now.
Yeah.
I'm seeing seasonal shifts amongst all the sites. And so I always get ads and I look because I want to know what's going on. And I read all the reviews on all the different rating sections for who's coming up, who's a good one, who's dropping down, who's this, who's that. And you're going to spend time on a dating site. So don't pick a crappy one, and don't go for a free one. Each site has the option of being free. You can do that for a while. You can hang out and you can see what they're not showing you, because what they'll do is they'll let you have a profile. So you're going to get a bunch of hits, but they won't let you see the guy's pictures. They'll let you see a description, an age, and a territory, but that's it. So then you have to pay to see if it's someone you'd want to talk to. And here's my other tip. Don't worry if they're not perfectly gorgeous or cute or whatever. Here's my thing. You have to ask yourself, could I wake up to that face? It's a totally different question than, could I go to bed with that person? Could I wake up to that face? Is that face kind, loving, giving, open, romantic, cute? They don't have to be drop dead gorgeous, but something alluring or adorable needs to pop up. And you need to not get a feeling in your stomach of, oh, I don't think so. You need to go, oh, I love his little twinkly eyes. I love his great smile. I love that he has a big dog. This is the guy I'm with right now. You know, he was kind of an average guy, but there was something about him. And he was all the things I wanted, environmentalist and healthy. And, you know, there's a big long list. I had a list of 40. He hit 38 out of 40.
Wow. You have a list of 40 criteria.
Yes, that's what I was stuck on the list.
That's before I even talk to them. I need to know they pass that criteria before I talk to them. Ideologically compatible, okay with strong women, you know, all kinds of stuff. You can read that from a profile. And if you can't, then you text. You go, hey, I like your profile. You kayak, I kayak. Where do you kayak? You just start a dialogue and you just get it going. And then pretty soon you can get into some more personal questions. And then when you've had a few of those questions answered, I'm not saying you don't get on the phone before that list is answered, because that would take years. You just have that list. And when you're talking to them, you're constantly going down the list, but you don't tell them what you're doing, but you're doing it behind the scenes until you're like, holy shit, I got 4 guys that could make the cut. Woohoo! Now it's time to get on the phone. Because if I can't sense strong energy and smart communication over the phone, you're not getting a date. It's not going to work. I'm not wasting my time. So, and I don't want them wasting theirs either. And so then, you know, so it's called attract. That's the profile and knowing what you want. Engage. That's how do I talk to you? What do we talk about? Do we have anything in common? Sort. So out of 30 people I talk to, 10 make the cut. Now I'm going to actually go deep. I'm going to take that top 10, which is usually 5 on one side, 5 on another, because I'll do 2 at a time. I don't recommend that for beginners, but you're working on 10. And now you're going to say, okay, I'm going to go meet at least 4. So out of the 10 on each site, or 5 on each site, you're saying I'll meet 4 out of the 10. Maybe 6 if there's really a good crop that season. And then you get on the phone, You confirm that you still like them after you talk to them. You make a date and you go meet them and you test the energy in person. So now you're narrowing down the field. So it's attract, engage, sort, date, narrow it down. And now I take my top 40 criteria. And if you make it to the top through that, then you start making your moves on me after the third or fourth date and you want exclusivity and intimacy. I have another 20 questions for suitors who want intimacy and exclusivity. And they read them with me and I tell them where they stack up.
Wow. I love it. You're so energetic and like so passionate about it. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I think you had something first.
Yeah, no? I was going to say you suggest 2 different sites, right? Okay.
Okay, so one, if you're just starting out, you got to get your feet wet. I mean, they should talk to me first, period, before they even pick a site. And I do free calls for half an hour. So everybody should talk to me. I want to talk to the world and protect them. So, they talk to me first. We talk about what they want. We talk about whether they think they can do it by themselves. And then I say, this is what you're going to have to work through. And then I give them some pointers and they can go to my website and get some stuff. And they can go to my Facebook group and get some stuff. And there's ways to get a lot of information from me without having to buy a thing. But, and I run a meetup group on Monday nights with little workshops every Monday. So my goal is to make sure that if you're going to get back out there, you get back out there savvy, prepped, ready, and aware.
Yeah.
Because when I jumped in there clueless, oh my God, the things I got myself into. Woo.
What should people look out for to steer clear of?
People have to steer clear. People have to steer clear of the scammers, the narcissists, the closet abusers, the controllers, the ones who need a nurse with a purse or just a purse. And it's complicated now because, they've taken their training and they're probably using AI at this point. So God knows what's going on over there. I have a lot of clients currently testing the waters that just graduated a course or a series of sessions with me. And I'm getting some crazy stories back about what's going on. So it's going to be, it's a little perilous. It's a little perilous right now. Do not jump into the water without your fins and a snorkel and a life jacket.
Yeah.
Yes.
For real. Because although it's so rewarding, but it does sound like a lot of work. And if you don't know what you're doing, I could see you getting swallowed up in there and then getting like disenchanted and then just totally giving up.
Exactly. And that's what happens. Some of the people I'm working with haven't dated for 4 or 5 years. And they're so lonely and they're so depressed. And the first thing I have to do is build them back up, help them tap into their adorableness and get why they're special before they put themselves out there to be torn down.
Yeah.
Because you have to be resilient. You have to be strong and you have to handle rejection. And sometimes you can't do it without a coach.
Yeah. And you have to be able to reject as well, right?
You have to be able to say goodbye. And what I teach people is put out good karma. It's going to come back. So if some guy's being a real schmuck, all you have to say is, you know what? We're not a match. Good luck out there. Gently release them. Don't do what some of the guys have done to me and just drop off the face of the earth because something pissed them off. Especially if you've been dating them. That really sucks.
Yeah. This whole ghosting stuff.
Yeah, I hadn't been ghosted before. I had no idea it existed.
And you don't understand it when it first happens to you, right? And you
I reached out to them.
Like, who does that? Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I lie. I was ghosted in college, but I never knew what it was. It was a 1-year-long love affair. And at one point, he just decided he didn't want to participate anymore, probably because I told him I loved him on a surfing trip. And I write him this long letter because no cell phones. I don't even think we had landlines. We were starving college students. I write him this long letter. I never got an answer back. And I finally got a hold of him by phone. I go, why didn't you answer my letter? He said, no response is tantamount to a response.
Oh, lovely.
I went, fuck you. You know,
Dodged the bullet. That's right.
swore off men for 9 months. Best thing I ever did. Met my first husband. Stayed married for 30 years. But
look, you rebounded.
yeah, you got to rebound. That's the other thing. You have to build in the ability to rebound. And it's either you say, fuck you, I'm going to do this without you, and you treated me wrong, and I'm great, and too bad about you. Yeah. Or you say, I need to go rebuild. I need to go look inside, see what I need to change, tweak some stuff, come at this a new way. And that's what I've done now. Between 68 and 70 is I built all these new ways. There's a section in my course, I love it, because it's called Release, Visualize, and Recharge. Because you release all the bad, and that means while you're dating, you're releasing bad. You keep visualizing what it is you really, 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 really want. Mm-hmm. You send that message out to the universe. That's your manifesting. And every time something goes wrong, you just recharge. I can recharge in a day. It used to take me months. Now it's a day.
And what does that look like?
The last one, where I broke up with Mr. Adorable 1, that was simple because I had already identified we were ideologically incompatible, but I stayed with him through the holidays because that was a commitment I had made, not to leave us alone for the holidays, because being alone for the holidays in your 60s and early 70s sucks a big one, especially if you come from a big, big family like I did. So we didn't want to be alone, either of us. And so we gutted it out through the holidays and we made him work. But he got snippy snappy about Hispanics, which I'm a quarter Hispanic, and powerful Black women. And we were watching the new Avatar, the one Wakanda or whatever it was, Wakanda Forever.
Yes.
And he's pissed off about all these powerful Black female heroes. And I went, are you fucking kidding me? And we had a fight in the theater. The next day we're at brunch and he's bitching about the fact that in a Mexican run restaurant, there are only Mexican waiters, and I'm speaking Spanish to one of them. And he's like, why don't they hire white men? And I went, are you kidding me? Did you see a Chinese restaurant where they hire white men? Do you see this? Do you see that? And I just thought to myself, this is over. He doesn't know it yet, but this is over. So I go home, we're saying something on the phone, and I pissed him off again. And I'm like, okay, dude, you can stay pissed off this time. I'm not apologizing. You suck. And I just let all that stay in my head. I said nothing. And it was a political fight at that point about politics. And I said to him, we had agreed to disagree and live and let live and make our relationship work in spite of what we knew were ideological differences. Mm-hmm. I said, you go sleep on it. Because I was willing to do a little compromise because he was treating me like a queen in every other area. But I woke up that morning and went, what the hell? I'm not going to put up with this shit anymore. You are not the man I want. I don't care if I made you my first Mr. Adorable. There's more out there. So what? Who's next? So I emailed him. I said, I've thought about it. You're right. We are not suited. We are now officially no longer a couple. I will come retrieve my things and bring you yours.
And you did that on email instead of doing it face to face. Why did you make that decision?
Because he needed to see it in writing. Because he was one of those that if you got on a phone with him and he couldn't handle the conversation, he would just hang up. I needed the whole thought to get there. He was a PTSD Vietnam vet, and he had a real problem with confrontation and conflict. He liked to have it, but not accept it. Mm-hmm. So I had learned his personality and I had learned what was going to work with him, and it had to be in writing.
So then are you heartbroken and you recharge?
I wasn't heartbroken at all. I got to his place and he had been sobbing for hours, but he agreed with me we needed to part. But I had just launched my course, you guys. I had just launched the course on how did I net this wonderful Mr. Adorable. And I had all these people signed up for it. And here I am, second week of the course going, I don't have a Mr. Adorable. So I decided to become my own beta tester. I put myself in the course. I fessed up to all my students. Hi, gals. Guess what? We have a new beta tester. It's me. I broke up with so-and-so, and this is why, and blah, blah, blah. And you can do this, and I'm going to do this with you. I got on a site the next day, and I had 15 guys I was talking to, started dating 4. And by the end of the course, I had my Mr. Adorable.
And that course is how long?
It's 8 weeks, but he and I had chosen each other within the 3rd week. And then we just cemented it with the exclusivity clause of intimacy. Week 6.
You were saying that there was like 20 questions, like before you moved to intimacy. Don't give us all 20, but give us a snippet. Like, tell us what they should be asking, what they should be talking about.
So it's going to depend on each person. Some of my top ones are you willing to introduce me to your family? Will I be included in family events? Especially when it's a widower, because my first Mr. Adorable was a widower. And so kids are very hesitant and reticent, right? And another one is, can I go away with you for a weekend? Could I travel with you to Europe? You know, are you good for an overseas trip? Because my second husband was the worst traveler on the planet, little whiny baby snot nose. And other things like, do you keep a nice house? Because Mr. Adorable 1 was not a good housekeeper. And there was mold and mildew. You know, you have to come up with your own list, but there's 20 deal breakers. They're basically deal breakers. Can you have a conflict, discuss it, and stay sane? How do you handle rejection or confrontation? And it's not yes or no answers. It's what have I observed?
That's right.
Am I comfortable with you? On the 3rd date, I met my guy, whom I've been with 20 months in 2 days. I met his 94-year-old mom, and I saw how he takes care of her. And I thought, this is a real man. This is a man who can show love, who treats women great, you know. And I would hear him talk to his daughter, because he's a widower, and the daughter calls him twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night. And she's always talking to him about her family and her work and just everything, because he's her parent. And I saw how he handled her. I also wanted a pet lover. I have a dog. He has a dog and a cat. Mr. Adorable 1 wouldn't take care of the cat. She died of a urinary tract infection when I met him. And so there were things I wanted, and I wanted someone who was a good conversationalist, and someone who was interesting, who would keep my interest.
So
I give myself to someone that won't.
Not so much asking the questions, but observing, right? Right?
Yeah, you don't really ask the questions. What happened was the 2 guys that made it to the top of the list out of that 10, because I was moving quickly because I wanted to show my students that it would work. So those 2 guys, I had 3 at the very top of the list. And I dropped one pretty quick because he was like a grandfather kisser, and he wasn't into the torrid love affair. Because he asked me, oh, this is really funny. On the first date, this very sweet, also widower, asked me, what is it you want? And I hadn't thought about that. So I looked him in the eye and I said, one last hot torrid love affair. And this sweet man just sat back in his chair. I want someone I can bring breakfast in bed and smooth back her hair and kiss her forehead. And I thought, oh, you want to be a grandfather. And I went, and then he kissed me at the car, and I went, yeah, you definitely want to be a grandfather. But then we were going to have a second date, because I will give a gentle, loving man a second chance. Yeah. There were no sparks, but I will give a gentle, loving, smart man a second chance. But then and it was Valentine's Day, and he got a cold. So he mailed me a card, and he says to me, did you know your address is on the internet? Yes, dear, I run a health coaching business from my home. My home is my office, and yes, it's there. And he said, aren't you worried? I go, I've been doing it for 20 years. I've got a dog, and I'm pretty strong. I'm fine, And he says to me, oh, you need someone to take care of you. And I'm like, oh, yeah, total grandfather role.
Definitely not my guy.
No. And and that's okay. Some women want that in a
Exactly.
partner. And he has found someone because he's part of my non-dating meetup group for single seniors here in Northern California. And he has found someone, and I'm really happy for him.
Yeah.
So would you say that people really need to be open to relocation if they live in an area, right, where the small towns, not a lot of singles in their, demographic? What would you suggest?
Yes.
Wow.
And unfortunately, that is going to happen. So I have a couple gal clients, and they're in my meetup also, and they're in this place in Arizona where it's just not going to work out. And they're both regretting moving there. And I said to him, what's it going to take to get you to move somewhere where you have better options? Because not everybody wants to fly back and forth for a relationship. And it's too expensive anyway.
Especially as we get older. It's harder.
Much harder. It's not
harder
fun.
on the body.
It's really hard on the body.
What about a place like the Villages in Florida?
So the funny thing about the retirement communities, because I don't live in one, I made sure I didn't buy in one. I'm just in a regular lower middle class neighborhood here in upper Sacramento County. There were villages. The problem with that is, you remember Peyton Place?
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it, but yes, I know.
The villages will be old people Peyton Place. And it's going to be bouncing from bed to bed, and it's going to be constantly comparing notes, and it's going to be an ugly scene, and the best men are going to be the hot commodities, and it's going to get ugly. So I wouldn't necessarily move to that kind of a place. Where I would move if I weren't in love and in a great little house and on my own and happy and independent, if I were looking at where to move now, knowing what I know, I would pick somewhere outside of one of those villages that had more diversity, like college professors and people who have their own businesses, who are of an older age group, who may be widowers or divorced. And then you can tap into that little village group, but you're not trapped in that little village group.
Yeah, that's great advice, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's really hard for folks that are like, I don't know, 60 plus to even envision. It's hard for people younger to envision relocating for love.
Yeah. But I will tell you, I was a health coach, and I had a client. He was in San Jose, and he was in his 80s. And he had fallen in love with a woman in Sacramento online. He drove up and he moved her in with him.
Like this.
She was like 75. When you're older, trust me, you make a quick decision, because you're like, this may be my last chance. I want one last go around.
Maybe. Yes,
Yeah.
we don't
You're
know.
not procreating.
Especially with the whole COVID. You're not procreating. You don't have to get married, but you want a companion. You want a love affair. You want romance. You want a travel companion. You want it all. You want someone for the holidays. And my Mr. Adorable's family has accepted me as much as they can. It hasn't been that long since he lost his wife. But I'm not the rebound girl. Oh, we have to talk about that. We have to talk about rebounders.
Okay.
Right.
That's super important.
Okay, so we got only a couple minutes, but go for it.
So here's the thing. Widowers, when they're going for their first relationship, it often becomes a rebound, meaning they don't know yet what they want. They're trying not to replace the wife, and they choose someone that they think is going to be different enough so they can let go of some of those heartache memories. But I have been the rebound girl for 2 widowers, and I know what it means, and I chose to do it. Do not be a rebound person if you haven't already figured out what it's going to mean. I can't give you all the ins and outs of rebounders, but I will tell you now, it's a tricky area to navigate. And you don't want to go in blind.
So do you just, your recommendation would be kind of steer clear if you can?
If it's your first time out there dating, I wouldn't pick someone who is brand new widowed.
Mhm.
No, I wouldn't. I would let them get their feet wet first. Let them wade in the pool a bit. Get some fish nibbling at their toes.
Some experience, right?
Really
Yeah.
quickly, one more question for you. What about the fear? This comes up in my practice where there's fear. You know, women live longer than men, tend to be healthier into their later years, more active, and they worry about having to become a nurse.
Well, guess what? My guy is worried about becoming a nurse because he nursed his wife through 5 years of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
He was her sole caregiver and he did it all the icky stuff. And there are no promises that people aren't going to get some catastrophic illness or be disabled or whatever. If you go into a relationship worried about that, you can't really enjoy it. So you have to take it as it is, pick someone healthy, and try to keep them that way.
Yeah. So have a really
and keep
good, like,
yourself
optimistic,
healthy.
be smart about who you choose.
Yes.
And be optimistic and just,
Yeah.
be in the moment, enjoy.
Exactly. Because who knows how long we've got? We don't, any of us know how long we've got.
That's right. No matter what age we are, right? So
exactly. So don't prejudge, don't pre-qualify. Go if it feels right, move on it.
I love it.
I love it.
Yeah, so much good advice. So Deb, how can folks find you?
The easiest way is go to findingmradorable.com. That's findingmradorable.com. And I've got all my connections there. You can book a call immediately. It's at the top of the page. There's all kinds of information. There's some free dating hack things you can download, and just, don't be afraid. Just talk, just connect. You can join my meetup. You can join my Facebook group. It'll all be on the website.
So jump right in.
Jump right in. Yeah, it's like if you wait, you're just going to keep getting older.
I love how generous you are too. It's like people don't have to pay right off the bat, right, to access important information, and I can tell that you're really in this because you just want to see people be successful.
I am.
Themselves.
My goal is 1,000 boomer women go through my courses or talk to me, and 200 happy relationships. And I want it before I just have my 72nd birthday. I want it by my 74th.
Wow. Yeah.
So awesome. We're grateful for you.
Oh, I'm so happy you guys had me on. Thank you so much.
So glad to have you on. Thank you so much. And thanks for all of our listeners to join us. We hope to see you next week. Take care, everyone. Kisses, hugs. Bye.
Bye.